This is Ryan from Clovis Star. It's the 28th of March 2016. And I've been, talking about the Bernie Sanders proposals and the socialism aspect of Bernie Sanders proposals with people. But a lot of things that get left out of this equation is when they compare things to Scandinavia and they say, well, socialism works in Scandinavia. Socialism works. It's a valid system because look at Scandinavia. But what they don't understand is that Scandinavia actually has a more prosperous economic system and a more economic freedom ability, than the United States, as far as lacking regulations and taxes, corporate taxes, things like that. And I'm going to demonstrate that in this video here. And I want you to, look up this information yourself. I'm going to put some links in the description that you can go and look at. And the first things I want to point out is the economic freedom in the United States compared to the Scandinavian countries. All of them rank higher in economic freedom than the United States. Then I want you to look up the list of countries by tax rates. And you'll see that the United States is on top. They have the highest corporate tax rate. Right here. U.S. corporate tax rates are the highest in the developed world. The U.S. total corporate tax rate is 39.1%. For example, in Denmark, the corporate tax rate is only 22%. Now, it's true, there's tax loopholes in the United States, but at the same time, the wealthy pay 97% of all accumulated income taxes. That's the top 50%. The bottom 50% only pay 3% of all total taxes collected. So there is some, disparaging inequality for the wealthy in this country, and we see a lot of jobs going overseas because of it. And then the next thing I wanted to point out was energy production. That you can see here that in 1972, 92% of Denmark's energy consumption came from imported oil. But by 1997, they had become sustainable, where they were not importing any oil or any energy. And then they continue to increase their production, and now they have increased their gross national product by exporting energy. So because they have lower restrictions than we do on energy production, they're more prosperous. I'm going to get into a little cartoon here that I made a little back and forth between a student and a teacher, and I want to illustrate a lot of this for you. And then also the personal income tax rates. In the United States, the average personal income tax rate is about half of what, it's actually less than half of what it is in places like Denmark. Personal income tax rate in Denmark is 62.3%, and an average of tax rate for the United States is less than 30%. So look these up for yourself. Always do your own research. Thanks for checking us out at clovisstar.com. Hope to see more of you soon.
Dr. Bandon, can you tell me why countries in Scandinavia have a better situation than the United States?
Amanda, first, what do you mean by a better situation?
These countries, such as Denmark and Norway, have less poverty and more social services than the United States and a better quality of life.
Amanda, I agree that there are a lot of advantages in those countries. I will do my best to explain what I know about these countries. First of all, these countries have more economic freedom than the United States does. There are less regulations and a lower corporate tax rate than the USA.
What do you mean by more economic freedom?
Amanda, these countries were not producing their own energy until recently. Much like the United States, up until the late 1980s, these Scandinavian countries were importing most of their energy needs. But now many of these countries have reduced their regulations on energy production, and they are producing more energy than they use.
Dr. Bandon, are you saying that these countries are exporting energy rather than importing their energy?
Amanda, that is precisely what I am saying. These Scandinavian countries embrace capitalism better than the United States, so they are reaping the benefits of a productive society.
Dr. Bandon, I heard that the tax rate is higher in these Scandinavian countries than the United States.
Amanda, yes and no. For example, in Denmark the corporate tax rate is 22%. However, in the United States the corporate tax rate is 39.1%.
Okay, but don't they have a lower personal income tax rate than the United States, Dr. Bandon?
Amanda, no, the personal income tax rate in Denmark is over 62%. In the United States, the average personal income tax rate is about half of that. So it is basically the opposite system in these Scandinavian countries. The corporations pay very little taxes, and the individual citizen pays a lot more. In the United States, the top 50% pays 97% of the taxes, which are those who run businesses. And the bottom 50% of people pay only 3% of our taxes.
So are you saying that these Scandinavian countries are embracing capitalism more than the United States?
Yes, it pretty much sums it up. Both the United States and these Scandinavian countries embrace both capitalism and socialism. So they are all hybrid economic systems. But the Scandinavian countries have decided not to punish wealth and business. So there is a lot of businesses around the world are moving to Scandinavian countries in order to keep their competitive edge in this new global market. In turn, their country prospers. However, as a result, our country continues to lose jobs and wealth. It may be that way because the United States tends to punish businesses and wealth.
I have one more question, Dr. Bandon. Do goods and services cost more or less in Scandinavian countries?
Amanda, for example, buying a car in most Scandinavian countries will cost a person about twice as much for the same car as in the United States. This comes from taxes and regulations on consumption.
Great, thank you for explaining this, Dr. Bandon.
Anytime, Amanda. You can visit www.clovisstar.com for more facts on these economic questions that you have.